Okay, what I've got going here is this is gonna be a sample video for girls, girl golfers, and what it's got is got two golf professionals. One's an Australian on the right. Her name is Heidi McCulkin. She used to work for me at Brookwater Golf Club in Australia, in Brisbane, or outside of Brisbane, Australia. And she played on the European Ladies Tour for a couple of years. On the left is Paula Creamer. She's an American and is playing on the LPGA Tour right now. What I want you to notice here is similarities. What we're trying to do is give girls a good visual of what good fundamentals are. And notice in this situation, in both situations, one of the things we're looking for is this really, really nice triangle, okay? And it always is good straight left arm, good straight right arm, both just hanging down from their shoulders, always pitched somewhat upward. Part of it is because that's the way we typically lean a little bit, but the main reason is because since we're right-handed, our right hand grips the club lower than the left, and so there's always a little bit of an upward pitch. But that's ideal. Okay, so now let's take a look at ball position. Okay, the ball is usually right ahead of the left eye, and as you swing through the ball, the head stays behind the ball through impact, and then at that point, and only at that point, will it pass it. Okay, another thing we're going to look at is like rotation of the head, see what's going on, if the head's got any movement happening. So we're going to take a look at both of these young ladies and see if that happens here. All right. Another thing we like to see is ball, the width of the stance. Let's take a look at that. Okay, outside of the shoulders, about even with the inside of the feet is pretty traditional. So Heidi here on the right, may have, a lot of folks would probably say if she was having any issues with consistency or balance, that, maybe she should have a little wider stance, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, Paula Creamer here on the left, outside of the shoulders, inside of the feet. She's perfect, classic. That's what, if you were beginning with somebody just brand new to the game, that's what we'd teach them. Now, something I want you to notice, and Heidi's not out there doing a bunch of practicing. She's just hitting some golf balls so I can watch her video. I can make video of her at Golf Club of Texas when she visited me a few years ago. But notice Paula Creamer. Look what she's got laying on the ground right there in front of her. She's got an aiming stick. And that's a really, really important thing for kids to notice, that even the pros, I don't care how good you get, you need to have an idea where you're aimed. And if you ever forget where you're aimed, it can affect your golf swing, because misalignment causes people to change their golf swing in the middle of the swing. Okay, now let's watch what Heidi does as she takes it back. Okay, notice that one-piece takeaway. Everything's all in one piece. She's not flipping her arms open. She's not breaking her wrists to take the club away. Everything's going back in one piece. She's getting a good shoulder turn. And as she gets to the top, look at the beautiful wrist hinge that she's created here. Okay? That's what we love to see. Now, she's got a little bit of head movement, not a lot though. It's moved back some, but it's still pretty close to the same range that it started. Okay, let's watch Paula as she takes it back. Okay, Paula gets a little bit more hand rotation to start with, but still the club is not rolling open. The club is going away now. The big muscles are moving, and the rotation of the hands is happening as a part of her takeaway. Notice right here at the top, she's in perfect position. And here's another thing we like to see right there. All right, now let's go ahead and go down with Paula one step at a time. Now from this position, notice she's moved a little of her weight to this side, as did Heidi. Moved her a little bit of her weight to this side. And of course you can see the same thing. Center of gravity on both of the girls is moved to the right. Okay, from this point down, one of the things we want to see is we want to notice how they hold that angle as long as they possibly can. She's all the way to her hips, and the club, she's still got most of her wrist hinge. She's still got a lot of wrist hinge here, the club being out there. All right, let's take a look at Paula and see what Paula does on this deal. Okay, same deal. See, she's still got most of her wrist hinge here. And there's the club out there. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to delay the release as long as we possibly can so that everything hits the back of the golf ball simultaneously. In other words, your weight shift, happens, your rotation happens, you fire through the golf ball. Okay, look, see, everything's happened at the same time. She's moving her weight. She's come a little bit off of her foot. Everything's firing through the golf ball at the same time. Head is still pretty darn close to right where it was to start with. And then as she continues her swing, look at this beautiful extension. That's what we consider to be, that's showing her weight shift. She's extending out toward the target. And look at her head. It still hadn't even passed the golf ball where it started. And let's take a look at Heidi. Okay. As she moves through it, same deal. She's moving her weight. She's getting everything going. And she's still behind the golf ball. And look at her beautiful extension out there. Okay. These are fundamentals. You know, it doesn't matter how good a golfer you are. Most of the great golfers have these same fundamentals. They're still behind the ball. They've shifted their weight. The ball's gone, and now all they're doing is they're uncoiling their golf swing. And at the end of it all, they end up with all their weight on their left-hand side. Hardly any weight left on this foot. Most of it. Everything you can see, everything is moved out this way. She's completed her swing. Her weight is transferred completely to her left side. Okay, let's take a look at Paula here. Same deal. She's moved her weight. Everything is moved to the left-hand side. Almost no weight left on this foot. Okay, let's take a look at them from the other side. So let's get Paula down the line, okay, and let's go find Heidi. Okay, there's Heidi down the line. Oops. Undo that. Okay, let's bring her in a little closer. All right, again, what we're going to try to do here is we're going to try to get a picture of some of the great fundamentals that we like to see in a women's golf swing. Okay, we're going to again look for head movements. We'll draw a circle around both of their heads. One of the things we like to see is what we call the wedge. And the wedge is an approximation of the swing plane that we like to see. Okay, and that swing plane is going to go kind of in the middle of this, what we call the wedge, okay? All right. Now, again, one of the key things I want you to notice here is how Paula, without question, is making sure she is aligned where she intends to go, okay? And Heidi is aligned toward that aiming point, because that's where I asked her to aim. Notice her feet are not on that same line. They're parallel to that line. Her shoulders are parallel and her hips are parallel to that line. Okay, look at Paula. Okay, Paula is aimed probably out in this area somewhere, maybe even there. Okay, notice she's on a parallel line as well. All right, these are fundamentals. These are not things that one golfer does and nobody else does. These are fundamentals that the best golfers all repeat. And so we have a lot to learn from that. We need to, a lot of beginning golfers don't realize how their alignment is misaligned, and so it causes them problems. They're always trying to correct, because our mind's eye, we know where we're aimed, where we're supposed to be aimed. And so if our body is misaligned, we change things in the middle of our golf swing to get that golf ball where we want it to go. It'd be better to be aligned properly in the first place. That way you can just swing on the proper path, and you're less likely to hit misdirected golf shots. Okay, so now, as we watch them take it away, we'll start with Heidi. Watch as she takes it away. A good, solid, look how that club goes right through the zone here, all the way up. And see how she's on her swing plane there. Head good and steady. Gets that good wrist hinge like we talked about before. You can see her weights move to her right side. As she starts down, club's still on that same plane, going through the same zone. She's moving her weight to her right side. You can see she's coming off her right foot. And that is not because she's pushing off her right foot. That's because the momentum of her swing is pulling her off her right foot. Notice how her hands rotate through the hitting area. Club goes out on target. And look at that, right back on the same swing plane. That's the best players in the world. They tend to approximate that plane. Sometimes they're a little under, sometimes they're a little over, but they're very close. And what that does is that helps them direct the golf ball where they intended to go in the first place. Notice how where she's aimed, there goes the golf ball. And her target was that post right there, or that flag, I forget which, but it was right on that area, and there goes the golf ball on her target. Okay, and a beautiful finish, almost all of her weight off her right foot. Okay, let's take a look at what Paula does. Okay, now Paula is hitting a driver, so she's standing a little farther away from it, and you tend to get a little bit flatter when you're standing further away from it. Flatter meaning your swing plane's more like that as opposed to more like that. Okay, so let me back these up. Okay, so she tends to be a drawer of the ball. Lots of women a lot of women on the ladies tour tend to play a little bit of a draw, because a draw, when it hits the ground, tends to roll farther. And that means you come a little more inside meaning under that swing plane. Okay, but look how close to that plane that approximates, okay? Gets to the top, and here's a great fundamental. This is a key. This usually points in the vicinity of your target. If you're on plane and you're on target, it points toward your target or in that vicinity. Okay? She gets to the top, gets that great wrist hinge we talked about before. Look at the elbow. The elbow is pointed down, but it's not tucked against her side any more than it was on Heidi. Look at her elbow. Her elbow is still pointed down, but not tucked against her side. Okay, so as Paula goes on through, right back through that same zone, and then as she hits the ball, off it goes in the vicinity of the target, which I'm not sure what her target was, but it's probably pretty close to that approximation. Okay, look how she's making her great hand rotation. Her hands are turning over. Look at that beautiful extension off into the distance. Look at her club. Her club approximates the same swing plane. A good finish, weight on her left side, all of her weight off of the right foot. Those are great fundamentals. That's what we like to see in a golf swing for men or women. But I wanted your girls to be able to take a look at two women who swing at it well, so they could see how women can swing at it as well as men.